about 10%, there were about 1,000 missiles, Islamic Jihad missiles, shot out of Gaza toward Israel. 10% of those. 100 of them dropped down, didn't even make it to the Israeli border, and dropped into the Gazan Palestinian territory. And that's what did more damage to their own civilian sites, because the Israeli missiles were only going at military targets. So what hurt them was actually their own targets. Now they tried to deny that. It's a little battle internally within Gaza to try to get that truth out. Now, of the other 90%, the 900 missiles that came out, what was amazing, of those that came out, the Iron Dome, the Israeli defense system, was able to knock down in the air 95% of those. Okay, which means that what do you have? You have, if you take 95% of 900, you come up with only about, what does that leave, around 50, 60 missiles that actually landed into Israel. But there were 50 or 60 missiles that landed into the area, particularly between Ashkelon and what we call Otef Aza, which is the settlements right along the Gaza border. And they did a lot of damage, cars, homes, and so on. But actually, as far as I can tell, not one Israeli was killed. Now, on the other side, what Israel said was, we want to stop the attacks from jihad. So what we will do, we will pinpoint every one of their rocket launchers and their weapons armory and a little bit of their administrative headquarters. They took out 170 targets, pinpointed targets, which means they basically wiped out the stockpile of their weapons and their rocket launchers. In addition, they took out they killed their 3 key military leaders, the head of the Northern Gaza Brigade and the southern ones. And so in any kind of military aspects, it was a total, I mean, it wasn't even a win. I mean, it was 99.9% to nothing. It was a total, not only military victory for Israel, but a moral victory. However, as I said, that's not the question. The question is the war is being waged in the media. So the question is, how is that being promoted? How is that being described? I don't know. And that's why I'm filming this, to give you some information as to what I saw there. Now, this also balances some power. It probably strengthens Hamas in Gaza a little bit more over Islamic Jihad. But it also, what happened here was that a few of these Sunni moderate countries, particularly Egypt, but also the other ones, Saudi Arabia and the Jordan and so on, were clearly saying, they were barely even condemning Israel, because they really don't want Islamic Jihad, because they're moderate. They don't want Islamic Jihad taking over their nations. Islamic Jihad, from what the statistics were, had about 10,000 missiles in their possession before this happened, and maybe about 10,000 people loyal to them in the Gaza area, particularly maybe a little bit in the West Bank. And so that was the size of their group. It's a large group, but it's relatively small when you think of the hundreds of thousands of people involved here. As I said, it's a rebel group. They're not even submitted to Hamas in that area. Now, how did they get 10,000 missiles, and how are they paying these 10,000 people to be their loyalists? One answer: money from Iran. They're announcing all over that they won the war. Now, why is that? Well, maybe, for one reason, is they're just religious fanatics with a suicide mentality, and they don't care. To them, they can just fight and have their children killed. It doesn't make any, they're winning. I think what they were trying to say, and a lot of that also is just cover-up. They're just lying. It's propaganda. They're lying. They're trying to save face. But there is one aspect, and they say, whatever we do, we don't mind what the cost is to us. If we can make Israel look bad. Think about that. What they were saying is, we could get the people living in the strip of small towns, plus Ashkelon maybe, surrounding us, if we could make them feel uncomfortable, if we could make them run to their bomb shelters for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, we're happy. That's victory to us. And then we're portraying themselves as we are the ones that will one day come back. We are the Islamic Jihad radicals, and we will one day come back and conquer all of Israel and conquer the Temple Mount and free the Dome of the Rock. This also a little bit affects Israeli politics because we're about to go to election in 2.5 months. So, and what happened here is during a war, the Israeli mentality is to have a little bit of cooperation. You stop so much the fighting between the opposition and the government. And amazingly enough, there was pretty good cooperation here between the right wing and the left wing. And now that's going to end probably almost immediately. They'll go back to fighting one another before the elections. Lapid, sort of a moderate left, was not seen as a person who would have a military victory. And Gantz, who was a centrist, who was a strong military figure, this was a big victory for him. And there was actually cooperation with the right wing, with Netanyahu and with others. So it's interesting that it created a little bit of sane dialogue among our people during this time.